Hello, my name's Monica Landeros, and I'm going to walk you through some of the changes with our discussions. Let me share my screen with you. Here, what you can see is our older version of the discussions. Still works very well, and you still have access to this version. You'll notice that this particular discussion is set up for group discussions, and it has the instructions right here at the top. And then it has, well, this one has accordions with a little bit of information. And it has this reply button, right? So students in this case would have to hit this reply button first and then post their original post because of the settings. Then they'd be able to see everyone else's posts and be able to reply to them. But you'll notice that this little icon is very light. It gets confused with this bottom portion, and it's sort of difficult for some students initially to find it. They sometimes are in discussions and don't really know how to participate. For the students and for us, we can go ahead and decide to see only the unread or to view the ones that we've already viewed. We can also decide to organize them by the latest or the oldest. And we can search by author. So that is very, very helpful. The edit buttons and the rubric buttons are at the top right here. And then we can see how many people have posted. So for example, this is where we would go ahead and jump into the speed grader or show the rubric. If we don't have a rubric, this is where we would add a rubric right there. And also discussions need to have points in order for us to be able to add a rubric. So that's kind of key. Now, the newer version looks a little bit like this. This is a very plain design, mainly because I'm not using templates here. And the discussion post is very simple. It's one of those wrap up, regular substantive interaction opportunities here. The big difference here is that you will notice that you can search by author right at the top, so you don't have to scroll down to do that. You can view all or only the unread. You can also sort by newest first, or you can sort by oldest. That helps. You can also have a split screen. And what that does is it means that you can see the post and then the replies here. The other thing, as you notice here, is that the reply button is a lot more prominent. It's blue. It kind of interacts when the cursor goes over it. And so students will be able to, at least it's something we can tell them, look for the blue button right under the instructions. So that helps there. So if we view in line, that just means that we're going to see everything just come through like that. What else? You can expand threads. So if we click that, that means that you would be able to see the threads and then see them all underneath if I had students who were replying. If I don't have those expand threads, that means I would have to click on the button to be able to read then what the replies were. Let's see, the edit buttons here, notice they're not at the top, but we have these three little dots on the side, which are the more options dots. I've heard it referred to as the shish kebab. If we click there, we can go ahead and mark as all as unread, mark all as read. We can edit, delete, close for comments, send to and copy to. We can open in SpeedGrader. In this case, this particular discussion doesn't have a rubric, although it does have points, so that I can add a rubric here and I can share the comments. So that is there. And then it looks like this. And I'm going to kind of scroll really quickly so you can see that. You can see the replies. And you can also search. Now, some of the new features that we're going to have here is that this should look familiar. So this is the old version. So you can see them on one screen. This is the old version here. And then you can see the new discussion version here. That's a little bit more direct and helps students navigate. Other things that you'll be able to do here is that you'll be able to do the same thing. Users must post before seeing the replies. Reply posts can be marked as read and unread, and discussion timestamp edit display. Multiple dates. This is something we've all been hoping for, and so that means that it's an addition. Individual student names are displayed instead of the total number of students. And we hope for, and some of us pray, to have the 2 dates so that we can go ahead and have the initial post date and then the reply dates, due dates. That still isn't something that we have access to, but that's still something that we hope to get soon. Then you also have the available from and until dates that are prominently displayed. The previous and next buttons for modules, the group discussions also, the peer review if there's something that's going to be done, and the add to student list. The functionalities here for the classic include the same thing. So you would still be able to see that announcement, and those are for the announcement delays. Here, you will also see additional functionalities in terms of role labels so that it will actually say who the author is and what their role is. You may have noticed that in the FRC, the Faculty Resource Center, that announcements that go out there will have the name, will have the image icon, and then will tell you who is the author, when it was when it was created and when it was last edited, which always helps, and their role, teacher. So flexible viewing options. Here you can see a better example of the inline view opposed to the thread view. And so the thread view will be able to allow you, and it's blurred, which is good, but this is an example there of what has been replied to. And so that's the split view. Let me scroll down here. And so then you also have mentions. So what that means is that you can go ahead and have a conversation and send it to an individual course member for users. And here's an example of that. So you would go ahead and type in the @ symbol and then go ahead and it would give you a pull down menu of everyone in that discussion, and you'd be able to select that person to reply to. Let's see. So these are also within quotes. Sometimes we like to quote other posts, and so this will allow students to do it very quickly, and they'll be able to go ahead and quote the person that they, that they felt said something worth repeating. Reply reporting, you will have discussion settings where you can manually mark replies as read, and then the student settings for creating discussions, editing their own replies, attaching files, and report replies. And so this is something that you would set up and then save your settings. And so here you can see also report. Why would we even have that? Well, sometimes we do have students who forget, they get so comfortable with their regular substantive interaction that they forget that it's a classroom setting, that it's academic, and there is decorum. And so sometimes I've had students tell an off-color joke, and so I had to immediately go and address them and then delete their post, but not without first telling them why. And then that never happened again, and they apologized, right? But sometimes other students or students get to the discussions before we do. And when that happens, then also they have a method to report right on the spot without having to send an inbox message. And then also within that reporting will be if the, why are they reporting inappropriate comments, offensive, abusive, or other? And so we hope not to ever have to have that, right? And so there it is, and then it would be already grayed out. So the reported reply notifications to teachers, if they're reported, then we would see that, in the discussion, we would see that there are bells for something that was a reported reply. There are also anonymous discussions. I'm trying to think of when we could have that, and perhaps we could have anonymous discussions, although I don't think I would personally do this, when we want to get feedback from students on our course design. that would be something that would be helpful. Right now, the only way to get anonymous feedback would be through the quizzes. And so this offers another space for that, to have an anonymous discussion there. What else? We have other things in terms of the settings. Creating, you can have students create their own discussions if you feel that it is a group that would be respectful enough to do that. All right. And so please reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm happy to share this link. We'll probably send this video out and then have all of these links here so you can view at your leisure. I'm going to stop share here. Again, my name is Monica Landeros. Please feel free to reach out to me. Canvas Inbox is the best way, but I also have an Outlook account. I'm happy to meet with you one-on-one. We can go over the different options for your discussions and what's coming up in June, July. And any other questions that you have in terms of Canvas and course setup and design. Thank you. Bye.